Right, because, I mean, it happened in 2008, but then all the arrests came down in 2010.
10.
And there was, 13 counts of various charges from attempted murder to all types of other stuff.
Conspiracy, everything.
Right. And 3 members or affiliates actually ended up talking to the cops before the trial.
Right.
So now you have people cooperating against you.
Samuel, Mondo, and Josh. And they weren't in the club. All 3 of them were just people that were there at the wedding. But they all told the police everything that happened. So it was almost crazy that we tried to fight it because I didn't know until later, in the paperwork, when I got all the paperwork, that those guys made those testaments, Well,
and you felt that this was a setup by the police as a payback for the River Run riot?
I don't know if the police actually set it up, but I think they knew about it. And the reason why, I mean, you explained this one to me, is when I walked out of the chapel, 2 guys pulled up in a Corvette and they said, "Pee-wee, get in." I looked at them like, "Where?" Corvette's a 2-seater. I looked at them and I just kept walking. So as I walked, it was 4th Street. And 4th Street's a one-way going the opposite way I was walking. And JD comes flying down, who's dead now. He come flying down in his car with his wife in the back seat, and he pulls up and he says, "Get in the car, Pee-wee, get in the car." And I grabbed the door handle. As I opened the door, here comes a Metro cop car. It was a woman cop. She pulls right in front of us, like nose to nose. So I didn't get in the car because I figured that was as far as we were going, right? So I held the door like this. I just looked right into her face, and she looked into mine. And all of a sudden, she just backs up, takes off down the side street. And I looked at him. He looked at me. I said, "Man, that's weird." And I got in the car. We did a U-turn and went the other way and split.
Okay. And was this situation essentially the end of your affiliation with the Hells Angels?
No, I could just see, I could see like, it was coming down to where every time there was trouble, if it had something to do with a club issue, like fighting with the Mongols or something, if you got caught selling drugs, you're on your own. Nobody's going to help you. And by right, they shouldn't. That's your free enterprise. You're not paying the club. You're the one making the money.
Yeah.
So this was a club function. And, we were hearing, we ain't got the money to help you guys and the funding and stuff like that. I'm like, what? Guy wanted $120,000 just to represent me. And I was like, man, where am I going to get money like that? So even the club, where's the club going to get money? I mean, to put assessment on it would have been like crazy. So I seen like that coming. And then I had a guy in my charter that was a rat. It was my vice president, and he was working for Metro the whole time, set me up, and this ex-Metro cop told me that his job was to get me out of the club bad so nobody would talk to me and I could never come back. And he did a good job.
Well, you said in your book, the angels would tell you that I ratted.
Yeah, they were saying that when I was going to prison.
Okay, but did you cooperate against anybody?
No, I didn't say nobody's name. I never cooperated. Yeah, it's all in my PSI papers. That's why I put it in the book.
Okay. So, at one point, you officially quit the club.
I did. I was in a room and I said, how many of you guys out of 12 guys here, how many of you guys think that, I disrespected this club? Because I felt like I never did. I always held the club first, We needed a clubhouse. They didn't have the money. I'm the guy who bought it. So I'm standing there and I said, is this how you guys feel? 7 guys raised their hand, yeah. 7 out of 12. And I looked over and I said, you guys really feel that way? You felt like I disrespected the club and I said something wrong? And they said, yeah. And I says, well, I said, if that's the way you feel, then I don't belong here anymore, man. I guess, you don't believe in me. I don't belong here. So I unzipped my jacket and I laid it on the table. I said, I quit.
And you had been a member of the Hells Angels for how long at that point?
15.
15 years. But 15 years of violence and, fights.
Everything I had to do.
Everything. Putting your life on the line.
Many times.
For them to tell you that you're no longer a member.
Right, because I did what I said in the beginning to you when I talked to the cops. Well, you shouldn't have talked to them. You shouldn't have said nothing. But I'm not sitting here trying to make excuses for myself. I was trying to basically say, hey, it was just self-defense. I was doing what I had to do. And they said, well, we got it all on video. And then I said, well, then let's let the lawyers fight it out. Then I knew better to shut my mouth after that.
Right. You said you had tears in your eyes.
When I walked out of that room.
Yeah.
It was like a walk. It was like the longest walk I took.
Right. And you said that a year after you left, the Mongols actually walked to the front door of
my motorcycle shop in Sturgis.
Yeah.
That the club took.
Right.
Well, I shouldn't say the club. The club in general did not take my shop. There was individuals in the club that were partners of mine. They basically stole the building and never paid me for it.
Right. And you felt that the Mongols were able to basically walk in that shop because...
And they never did that in 19 years when I was there.
Because you were no longer there. They felt they were weak.
Right.
The Angels were weak without you being there anymore. Is the war with the Mongols still going on?
Oh yeah.
Today? So that never stopped.
Well, they're fighting them, and they're fighting with them, the outlaws, the pagans, and God knows who else.
Well, you had said that because there's Muslim organizations within the Hells Angels.
Now there is, yeah.
And I guess that the government is actually labeling them as terrorist organizations.
Right. I knew that, and I knew that would happen. So is it? Sorry to interrupt you,
okay. But isn't technically any criminal gang considered a terrorist organization after 9/11?
No, not really. I mean, they could never really. Now, Canada said that the Angels were a criminal organization, and so did Germany, to where they were like making them, if they saw them wearing patches, rings, baseball caps, they would arrest them.
Wow.
So America hasn't really labeled them that yet, or they'd be cracking down on them. But I was one of the guys who always went to the world meetings, and went to all that stuff. And when I went down there, they I think they had the world meeting. That time it was in Germany, and they go over all the old rules and all the stuff, and they were arguing about all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I was losing my train of thought here.
We're talking about terrorist organizations.
So getting into terrorist organizations, they just moved the charter into Turkey. So I want to go down and check it out. Beautiful, beautiful clubhouse. It was one of those places where you want to call MTV, come down, you open up the door, says, come on in, check out my crib.
Yeah.
All white marble floors, and then they had a maid house next to it with her husband. He cut the grass, cleaned everything, anything broken, he'd fix it. It was pretty cool. And I went down there, and I was sitting at the table with all these guys. And now they're Hells Angels, right? And they're from Turkey. And I said to them, are you guys Muslim? And they got real quiet. And they said, why? Does that make a difference, Pee-wee? And I said, yeah, I think it does. I think it makes a huge difference, man, because I said, I think with all this stuff going on from 9/11 and stuff, I said, I think they'll label us a terrorist organization now, because if we get a bunch of Muslims in here too and stuff. And a real nonchalant, he says, no, we're all Christians. And I looked at him, I went, oh, okay. I had to take him for his word.
Yeah.